All right, we've got some spice added to the Oklahoma State-Utah game, which you can certainly argue on paper is the biggest game of the Big 12 season. I probably would right now. It's going to be impossible to know. There are a bunch of games that are right there that very easily could mean just as much or more. But Oklahoma State and Utah, I would tell you, are the two best, as it currently stands right now, national brands that the Big 12 has in football. Everybody is well aware of what Utah has done the last 3 years, winning the Pac-12 a couple of times. They know Kyle Whittingham. There's a ton of respect there. They've been in the Rose Bowl a couple of times, which definitely does carry some value, even if I, kind of hate the Rose Bowl. It carries some real value. I'm not naive to that. Oklahoma State has been the most consistent winner of anybody that's left in the Big 12, sans, I guess, maybe Utah. They've been really, really similar. But of teams that are not new coming in, Oklahoma State's that's been them. If we look at the last 3 years of these two teams, 2 Rose Bowls, a Fiesta Bowl, 3 conference titles, 4 conference title game appearances. Oh boy, I'm sorry. I just did that. Baylor, I just took a title away from you. 2 conference titles. 2 Rose Bowls, a Fiesta Bowl, 2 conference titles, 4 conference title game appearances. That's pretty good. That's pretty good for this league and what this league has. That's pretty good. So this was already going to be a massive showdown. And the type of game that I mentioned off the top, would be the one that I would choose if you could choose a game to feature in one of those slots, one of those new slots that John Wilner is suggesting the Big 12 lay claim to. This would be at the top of my list of a game that I would want to get in that kind of a window so that everybody could see it. Milk this for all that it is worth. And it's going to be even better if we get stuff like this. So here is a quote from Tevin Fotu of Utah, and it comes courtesy of, let me make sure that I give proper attribution here. Utah Utes on SI. Kenny Lee is who wrote this article for Utah Utes on SI. He says, Sammy Moore from 24/7 Sports. All right, so I guess there's just attribution to go all the way around here. Sammy Moore from 24/7 Sports asked 17 Utah players a series of questions, including which team they're looking forward to facing the most. 9 of the 17 actually responded Oklahoma State here. So, yes, there was a decent amount of BYU, which you might expect, the Holy War. But 9 of the 17 said Oklahoma State. They recognize how big of a game this is. I'm sure they recognize that Oklahoma State is kind of a mirror image of themselves as a program. Kyle Whittingham and Mike Gundy are honestly almost mirror images of themselves. But how about this quote? How about this quote from Tevin Fotu? He said, Oklahoma State, I heard they have the number 1 running back or whatever, but we will see about that. I heard they have the number 1 running back or whatever, but we will see about that. Spicy quote about Ollie Gordon. Now, Ollie Gordon is not a man that I would want to make angry. All right, that's a tough dude to tackle. I would not want to be firing him up. So we can start with that. If I am a Utah fan, I'm not sure that I'm super crazy about that, although they seem to be confident enough anyway that most Utah fans are probably not in a mindset where they really care too much. But as a neutral observer, I cannot get enough of this. I love this. Let's make that a thing. I hope that this quote does not go away. I hope that this quote sticks around and sticks on a bulletin board for quite a while down in Stillwater. I hope it gets flashed up on an ESPN graphic as we're cutting into the game to go watch it. These things are great. These things are great to add a little bit of extra hype, some extra spice, and allow the Big 12 to just milk as much as they possibly can out of this game. I think that's good smack talk, and I'm just really surprised at the source here, guys, because, man, Utah does not seem to be afraid to ruffle some feathers. Remember, it was just a couple of weeks ago in Vegas that Cam Rising said about BYU, I just want to go down there and whoop their ass. Okay, so Cam Rising is coming in, and on one of the more anticipated games of the Big 12 schedule, the Holy War, throwing some fire on that, saying, I just want to go down there and whoop their ass. And then on what I would tell you is the best Big 12 game on paper this season, I heard Oklahoma State has the number 1 running back or whatever, but we will see about that. Throwing shade at Ollie freaking Gordon. Utah, man, not just their fans that seem to have this attitude, huh? Utah's players seem to be extremely, extremely confident and not afraid to ruffle some feathers here. Maybe I'm just in the dark on Utah because I have obviously not paid attention to them on a week in, week out basis. I don't know what the audio usually is like that's coming from players out of that program, but just based on what I know about Kyle Whittingham, the general vibe and tenor of the program, at least from what we see at a 50,000 foot level, I was pretty shocked to see that we have this kind of talk coming out about these two. Make this game as good as you possibly can, because one of the bummers of the Big 12 schedule is we will not get this game again in the regular season until 2027. Because one of my points with this was going to be, hey, developing new rivalries would be excellent too. And these two are natural for a rivalry to develop, I think, because of what I just said. As a program, like Kyle Whittingham and Mike Gundy, almost the exact same age, came in at basically the exact same time to their schools. They have won almost the exact same amount of games, same type of national exposure. Like, it is crazy the amount of similarities that exist there between those two. Barry Trammell, if you go look it up, did a really good piece on that. And he also, if you want to watch the interview that he did on my channel from Big 12 Media Days, Barry Trammell, who's now with the Tulsa World, formerly the Oklahoman, that has covered Oklahoma State forever, did a great piece and had some great info about just how similar those two are. As programs, they're both upper echelon of the leagues that they've been in, but yet probably a bit underrated nationally by some folks, not given maybe quite the respect that they deserve. There's a lot of similarities there, and they are, to me, again, the two best football brands that the Big 12 has right now in the league. Natural for a rivalry to spring up from that. Get as much as you can out of this game, get as much as you can out of this year, because they may meet again in Arlington for the Big 12 championship. And we're not going to get it in the regular season next year. They could meet again in the Big 12 championship. You would need the Big 12 championship to factor in there if this is really going to turn into a series where there's a rivalry year over year. It's one of the things that sucks about having so many schools. You can't make that matchup, at least as of right now, happen every single year. But maybe we'll get enough of this stuff. Maybe we'll get a good enough game. Maybe there's a way that we can have that come back around the next time the Big 12 pushes out the schedule over the next couple of years. But this is a game, if I were the league, I know it's probably impossible really to do this when you're trying to put out a scheduling matrix for 16 schools over the next 3 years, but I sure as hell would have tried to find a way to protect this just for the sake of getting the league the best TV opportunities as possible to have those teams playing every year. But if Utah wants to come in and talk, that's going to be great. You know, if you got Coach Prime in Colorado doing their talking, and you've got Utah doing their talking on the way in the conference, that's going to create a lot of juice in those games, certainly for the teams involved and within the league, but probably makes it more interesting for everybody outside of the league as well.